Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday evening. Hope you've all enjoyed your first day back at work. But it does mean one thing, Monday review. Time to look back at Saturday's game, which was a home fixture against high-flying Oxford United. Game of two halves, really, I think, is probably the best way to describe it. Myself, Boz and Stocky were there and said at half-time that Gills weren't good enough first half, weren't really at it, looked half a yard off the pace. Looked a bit lethargic. Everything that we tried didn't really come off. Passes were being over it, crosses were being over it, passes were being under it, crosses were being under it. We seemed to get towards the final third and then we'd make the wrong decision or pick the wrong pass. And aside from a Jordan Roberts chance at 0-0, when I think he slipped as he tried to make contact, we didn't really create anything clear cut. There was a lot of huff and puff and no real end product. But the other end, I think, the only bit of quality in the first period, especially is the goal from Tariq Fosu, and we'll talk about him a little bit more in a little while. But it is a really good goal, and he's clearly a really good footballer. But yeah, just didn't get our front two into it. And everyone knows that I'm a big fan of Brandon Hanlon, and think he'll go on and be a really good football player in the Football League. But he wasn't at it first half. He wasn't up to his usual standards, and his strike partner Jordan Roberts, making his home debut, was pretty poor as well. They were virtually anonymous, and Ollie Lee just behind them was having to drop really deep. He was getting the ball in our half off our own centre halves, trying to make things happen. But in that area of the pitch, he wasn't going to hurt Oxford. So yeah, it was pretty attritional, and I think the most action we saw in the first period, aside from the goal, was off the pitch or people rolling around on it. Jamie Mackey, strange character. Seemed to be obsessed with the Gills bench, whether that was Steve Evans or Paul Rayner or both or someone else, I'm not really sure. But there was one incident that he ran 40 yards from his position at centre forward to get involved with, and very angry man, and couldn't understand it, and spent most of the game grappling with our centre halves and fouling them and swinging arms about, and didn't really show any quality in all honesty. And he was rightly booked for dissent towards the end of the first period for something he said over by the touchline. The referee cautioned him, and some people are saying he might have been a little bit lucky to not be sent off, because he went through the back of Conor Ogleby second half and then was taken off pretty swiftly afterwards to a chorus of cheers and pantomime boos from our fans. But yeah, just really strange behaviour from the Oxford number 19. Didn't really understand what he was trying to achieve. But what we do know is that one of their other players, particularly, and he weren't the only one, was what he was trying to achieve with his antics was Tariq Fosu, really good footballer. He's followed Carl Robinson from Charlton to Oxford, and he's up to 9 or 10 for the season with his strike first half, and clearly got ability, very good technically, 2 good feet, can go on the inside or the outside. But why oh why he has to spend most of his game just rolling around on the floor, diving, cheating. That's what it was. There's one particular instance which is laughable. He barely gets touched by Barry Fuller, who makes a really good block tackle, and the ball flies towards the halfway line. Tariq does 2 or 3 rolls and then lies motionless on the Priestfield turf, and everyone's looking around in the red Medway stand or the Raynham end to try and find the sniper that's killed him. But play goes on for another 20 seconds or so. It gets worked out to their right hand side, our left back area, and the ball comes into the box, and it's a miracle. Tariq jumps to his feet and tries to get on the end of the cross at the far post and didn't miss it by much. And I think you can imagine what the reaction would have been if he'd managed to put it in the net for his and Oxford's second, because us in the Raynham end certainly made it known what we thought of him. And for me, it is cheating, it's simulation, and I don't know why the ref didn't do more to stop it by booking him, or at least having a word straight away and saying if you carry that on you're going to get caution, because he just allowed it to keep happening. And then a couple of their other players were happy to do it as well, and there was a team that, were just happy enough to dish it out, but as soon as anyone as breathed on them, they were running, crying to the ref. John Massinio, massive lump at centre half, crying to the ref all the time. Oh, he's touched my shirt. And Jamie Mackey actually come out for the second half with a referee. I'm not sure what he was trying to do to him in the changing room, but it's really odd behaviour from experienced professionals, and it's not something I like to see. And I was quite pleased listening to the D3, D4 podcast this morning on my way to work. I got through the League One section, and James, who runs that exceptional podcast, is an Oxford fan, and he was very unhappy, disgusted with it as well. Said there's no place for it in the game, and he was disappointed and upset as an Oxford fan to see his players of the club that he supports having to resort to that kind of tactics. But there was a second half and there was more football to talk about, and we come out after the interval and rolled up our sleeves and got on the front foot, which is how we played for most of the season since we overcame that tricky start, and we were a lot better. We was threatening to get him behind more, and stonewall penalty for the goal. Brandon Hanlon does really well, shifts his weight one way and then the other, and Geezer just runs across him and cleans him out. And Ollie Lee, it's a great penalty, tucks it away. Do you want to have a look at it? Go on, let's have a quick look at it. Here it comes. Ollie Lee, he's very straight on for this run-up.
I think he's going straight down the middle.
Here he comes now. Referee's just clearing the box. Ollie Lee, he's very straight on for this run-up.
I think he's going straight down the middle.
Here he comes now.
Sends the keeper the wrong way. Gills are back on terms. Can we go on and win it now?
Yeah, he sent Simon Eastwood the wrong way. Smashed it into the corner, and Gills were level with about half out to play, and I screamed at the time, can we go on and win this now? And Boz was pretty confident as well. Not as confident as he was at home to Rochdale a few weeks ago, but it wasn't to be. We had a few chances. I think there was a ball second half from Jordan Roberts. Him and Brandon came alive in the second period, and the one time they really linked up was Jordan on the right-hand side, cut the step overs, dragged back on his left foot, whipped in across, and in fairness to Brandon, the ball's going out of play, and I think he's off the pitch when he makes contact with his head, but he tries to head it back into a dangerous area. And just for a fleeting moment, it hits the keeper Eastwood on the elbow and looks like it might be trickling in, but I think it was either John Mussini or Rob Dickey got back to hack it clear. But it wasn't a game of thousands of chances. I think they had a couple of efforts blocked second half, one particular good one from Connor Ogilvie. I know Brandon Hanlon headed one up and onto his own bar and out for a corner. We got into a couple of good areas, but I don't think either keeper was overly tested. And if we look at the stats, in the Monday edition of the Medway Messenger, Gills had 3 shots on target to Oxford's 2, and we had 7 off target to Oxford's 9. So 10 shots in all for us and 11 for them, but not many of them on target throughout the 90 minutes. And in terms of the game that I said was bitty and attritional, 22 fouls committed by us and 16 by Oxford. Yeah, it was just a really scrappy, ugly, frustrating, horrible game, lacking real quality, especially from a team that's, you know, entrenched in the playoffs. But it was engaging because there was stuff going on off the pitch first half, and it was engaging second period because we got a Gillingham performance and we got a reaction. And I think Steve Evans talks in the Medway Messenger about it, and he says that Vocal Evans lifts his side. That's the headline inside. I said at half-time, I don't know what players we have got here. This is Evans talking. I think a number of them had their brothers turning up to play. And he then goes on to say, I had to lift the dressing room a little bit. I had to be quite strong, quite vocal, reminding them what has put them on this run. It was about being on the front foot and picking the right pass, the right way of passing, the right tempo, pressing the life out of the opposition. And I think we did that, and we was well worthy of our point second half. The frustration is that we haven't gone on to win it, but I think that would probably have been a little bit tough on our visitors, as much as I'd have loved to see it after the antics of a few of their players. But draw was probably the fair result. Evans also talks about Fosu's antics sparking the Rainham end into life, and it did. It got us going, and then it in turn got the players going, and that probably helped us out. And Steve says the Rainham end were absolutely tremendous. I think, in actual fact, their player Fosu, who was dead in the first half, he was dead, wasn't he? Question mark. He got up and puts, and they cross. He gets up, they cross into the box, and their player jumps to head it and nearly sticks in at the far stick. The referee said it was just someone having a bit of fun. Not sure I agree with that. Not sure I agree with a lot the ref did, but I'm not going to sit here and talk about another League One official because it gets a little bit boring. We all know the standard of the officials that we get on a weekly basis at this level, and it's not great. But yeah, so just to sum up before I let everyone go, this evening, Cackle, we are Monday evening. Final paragraph or so of Luke's report. Luke Cordelli writes in the Medway Messenger, a draw was a fair enough as the Gills once again went toe-to-toe with the top side and emerged with something to show for their efforts. Oxford played the Gills off the park first time around, but had to work hard for a point at the Priestfield. A sure sign that Evans' team have improved and are more than worthy of fighting for a place in the top 10. We've spoken about playoffs for a few weeks. I've said we have a really good opportunity if we can get the right sort of quality in, but we've only got Jordan Roberts in at the moment. We've let Michael and Jolly or Bournemouth asked him to go back because he wasn't playing, so we've sort of let him go back, which makes sense. The lad wants to go and play, that's fine. As recently as Thursday night, Friday morning, we've let Usino Cisse go on loan to League 2 Leyton Orient for the rest of the season, so Steve Evans has confirmed today that frees up a bit of budget. And in terms of budget, Boss Paul's plug on striker signing. I did tweet slightly tongue-in-cheek this morning that this monster that goes and spends money wherever he goes and doesn't care for the well-being of the football club that he's running is in shock horror decides that he doesn't want to spend loads of wages. But in all seriousness, Gill's chairman had agreed big money deal. Evans said, our chairman wanted me to sanction a player on Thursday and it would have taken an individual's wages really high for this club, and people can believe it or not. I said no. The chairman has been fantastic. He then goes on to say, regarding Cissé's loan deal, it has created a little bit of money, and the chairman said, let's do it then. And I was the one who said, I don't really want someone like that in the dressing room. All these lads earn roughly the same. They're a committed bunch. Players speak same as they do in any work. So, yeah, I've got no issue with that. I mean, people, it is disappointing. And the name that's been linked still is John Akindi. Was it John Akindi that was in a meeting with us last week? And that's the one we've turned down. They've turned down. He's rejected the deal. No one really knows. We don't work within the football club. But I'd imagine we have a wage structure that means that our top earners are probably on $2,500, $3,000 a week. If John Akindi's coming in and asking for a little bit extra, I'd imagine it may have got done. But there were rumours going around that he's on $5,000, $6,000 a week at Lincoln, and if he wants extra on top of that to move, it's probably going to be something out of our reach. And the thing it does mean now that there is money about, and maybe Steve Evans is thinking if we've got X amount we can spend on wages, why lump it all on one and put all your eggs in one basket? Let's not spread it around and maybe get 2 or 3 players in on, you know, a third of that wage budget that we have available, whatever it is, and add a little bit of quality in all areas rather than just lumping our hopes all into one area, so to speak. So what is it today? It's the 20th. We've still got 11 days of the window. I mean, if we were sat here this time next week, 27th, 28th, and we've still only got Jordan Roberts through the door, then yeah, I'll be a little bit concerned that nothing's happening in terms of incomings, but I'm not yet. I trust Steve Evans to target the right type of player, the right kind of player that's going to come in and improve the group, improve the first 11, which in turn improves the bench, because those that are in the starting 11 automatically drop down onto the substitutes bench. So plenty of time left for me. It'd be lovely if we could get a couple in this week pre-Rochdale, because we've got a game Saturday and then a game Wednesday next week, that rearranged one. Shrewsbury been put back 24 hours to the 29th due to their FA Cup involvement. But yeah, seen a few bits on social media and as such where everyone seems a little bit sort of deflated and a little bit unhappy at the moment, but I'm not buying into it. We're 8 games unbeaten. We've won 3 of them games. We've taken points off of Posh. We've taken points off of Oxford. They're both in the playoffs. We've taken points off of Fleetwood, whose own form's ridiculous. We've taken points off of Pompey, who are pretty much in the playoffs. We've beaten Sunderland, who are now in the playoffs. I don't think there's too much to moan about. Maybe I'm overly glass half full, I don't know. But it's 8 unbeaten. When was the last time we were sitting here and talking about Gills being 8 unbeaten? Like I said last week, this time last year, we were sitting here bemoaning a 3-0 home defeat against a crappy Walsall side that went down to League Two, and we almost did as well, let's be honest. So we managed to turn it around, I get that. And Steve Lovell did a great job with the squad that he had at his disposal, but we're better off now by a million miles. And yeah, it'd be great if we can go and get an approving scorer, but we might be able to take a chance on someone, a diamond in the rough, and they become that little bit of magic, that little bit of stardust, or just by the fact that we get some players in that everyone else goes, well, I've got to up my game because I want to keep the shirt this week and I want to be in the team Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, and then they improve their performances, and we could have that hero, that difference maker within the group already. But that remains to be seen, and we'll only know that come the end of the season. But for me, I'm still excited for the rest of this campaign, the remaining 18, 19 games. Still interested to watch the remainder of the transfer window, and hopefully we'll get a couple through the door, because that'll give us added depth. And like I say, you can't have too many good players at this level. But that's enough from me this evening. Like I say, it's another draw. Been nice if we could have won it, but it wasn't to be. I'm sure Oxford are thinking maybe they could have won it, but it wasn't to be. So it is what it is. We prepare well for Rochdale and then Shrewsbury, and we dust ourselves off and go again. Right, that's definitely enough from me this evening. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me rabbit on. You know where we are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. Come and have a chat, like I say, on the Facebook page. If you've got anything you want to discuss, post it. I'm sure people will get involved, and it's great having some debates about different subjects regarding the football club. But right, I'll let you all go. Be back Thursday for a match preview ahead of Saturday's away trip to Rochdale, hopefully with Boz this week. But until next time, enjoy your week and up the Gills.